retreating, and this is really going to be pretty safe for Flash to expand right now. And everybody knows that a Terran with 3 bases going Mech can get quite a few units.
Yeah, and at this point we see that Flash is just trying to move out to secure his third, and once he gets that third gas going, he can start pumping out of 6, 7 factories.
I really don't like Jaedong's choice to go for Hydras because 2 or 3 tanks, which is what Flash has, really just own the crap out of Hydras. And that's just really, it's not a very good counter, I think. He may pick off the science vessel, but he's not going to get it. But with these siege tanks here, these Goliaths will be able to pick off these Hydras with fairly ease. But there's actually a lot of Hydras, and really good micro there by Flash, though, pulling back his Goliaths and just destroying a ton of Hydras.
Yeah, and the problem is that those Hydras don't have Dark Swarm, and until Jaedong gets Dark Swarm, he's not going to be able to attack this mech army.
Yeah, and Flash is slowly building up an advantage, and Flash does have his expansion up, and Jaedong's really been wasting quite a few units. He is getting his hive now, though, and he does have 4 gases, which is pretty much the magical number for a Zerg to be able to use hive units.
Yeah, but I mean, against a mech build, Jaedong really needs to mass expand more because a Terran player that's going mech can't move around the map at all, and thus Jaedong needs to start mass expanding instead of just keeping it at 4. He might need to actually put up 5 or 6 expansions just to see what Flash would do.
Yeah, you can see right now, Flash is playing very defensively, and these Scourge coming in, taking out that Science Vessel, pretty nice move there. A couple of Vultures coming in, possibly going to be able to get a couple of drone kills, and I think they know about that expansion at the top right, and they're going to be able to kill a ton of those units. They're laying mines there too, so reinforcements will be killed.
Yeah, and this is definitely not looking very good for Jaedong. Somehow he puts up a creep colony, but it's a bit too late for the creep colony to save that expansion.
Well, these Hydras do have they do have an Overlord with Overlord speed there, so they probably will be able to save this expansion because Vultures only do 5 damage to buildings and large units. But right now, it's looking pretty bad for Jaedong because Flash knows about these expansions, and whoa, that was a close call there. He could have lost a couple of Hydras to a couple of mines over there.
Yeah, what's really interesting is that I don't see, if we could see what's going on in Jaedong's base, if we could see that he's putting up a defiler den, that'd be really interesting to see the timing of that defiler den. Oh, and thing here with more vultures, it's going to kill so many drones right here.
Wow, that is just perfect timing. He was distracting Jaedong at the top right base, and now he just destroyed almost every drone except for 1 drone at that base right there. And that's really going to set Jaedong back because he's going to have to spend larva on drones instead of units right now, and he really needs units right now. You can see Jaedong is actually transitioning into mutas now, and he's realized that vultures and tanks are being created, and not Goliaths and tanks. And with +1 armor, Mutalisks at this point are a pretty good choice, but losing those drones is really going to set him back.
Yeah, and the fact that Goliaths are probably at 2-2 now is not very good for Jaedong, but a huge number of Mutalisks here, they might be able to overpower the Goliath. We'll see with this large attack.
Well, it looks like it's not going to be very easy for Jaedong because he does not have a very good army positioning. It looks like all of his Hydras were killed. And wow, Flash just defended that excellently. And Jaedong picked off very, very few units. And Flash really at this point can begin taking map control with those Vultures, which are a lot more maneuverable than the other units.
Yeah, and we see here that Flash is continuing to use those vultures to harass Jaedong. And Jaedong still with nothing there to defend. He's going to lose all these drones again, and this is not looking very good at all.
Yeah, definitely. Losing all these drones. If he had a couple of more expansions, it might not hurt as much. But you can see he didn't get these expansions. And these vultures, they're going to be able to get some scouting on, and they're going to be able to kill a couple more drones too. And the defiler round only just starting. That's really late because Jaedong had his hive up a long time ago.
Yeah, I think Jaedong just tried to surprise Flash with those mass Mutalisks, but the problem is that Flash already had a bunch of Goliaths from before, and so those mass Mutalisks just didn't work.
Yeah, Jaedong really behind right now, and Flash just has a huge economic and unit advantage. And so I really think this is the time where he's going to start pushing out, which is a perfect choice. And at this point, Flash really just doesn't have that much to defend, or Jaedong doesn't have much to defend with.
Yeah, interesting to note is that that Flash doesn't have any science vessels with his army. I think this is just because he knows that Jaedong doesn't have any lurkers, so he's just gonna go without a science vessel. And the huge attack in the middle here, Flash lost a bunch of tanks right there. Oh my God, he lost almost all of his tanks right there.
He lost every single tank right there, but it doesn't really matter that much because he's got so many Goliaths at this point. It's really going to be hard for Jaedong because he spent all of his remaining units killing those tanks. And though he did take out those tanks, which are a major push factor, it's the main thing that Terrans need to push with. It doesn't really matter because he's going to lose that expansion and he doesn't have any units. And Flash showing his excellent multitasking, going in for another harass at the top right expansion while doing this attack over here.
Yeah, I really think that Jaedong should have opted for those defilers, lurkers, and defilers, lurkers, and hydras instead of the army choice that he made, which is just mutalisks and hydras.
Yeah, and another example of good multitask micro by Flash, he picked off those two defilers just as they were consuming units. But it was a bit of a blunder on Jaedong's part, putting them in the very front of his army, where they would be susceptible to be attacked.
Yeah, and at this point, not even all the micro in the world can save Jaedong from his inevitable death now.
Yeah, he made a couple of big mistakes here, and he just sacrificed a lot of units that he didn't need to sacrifice. And really, it was just poor game sense on when to attack, and I think it was a lot about scouting as well, because he did not scout to see what Flash had, and he kind of went in blindly, and it is GG.
Yeah, definitely an interesting way to start off the series.
Yep, and for the GomTV MSL 4, it's Flash vs. Jaedong, and Flash is 1-0 right now, and this is a best of 5, so we'll see how the rest turns out.